Alright guys, so I have a bit of a different video for you guys today. About a month ago, my beloved mill here just stopped running. I was working on this piece of plate aluminum here, and you can see I was using a pretty big cutter on it. And, I was running it kind of hard, I admit it, but not so hard that it should just stop the mill and make it, blow up or anything. I was a little bit worried at first because I had, I was running it a little bit hard, but I went and I put my hand up near the motor and I actually took this whole thing off. The motor was cool as a cucumber. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't the motor. So that meant that it had to be something inside of the control box. And after having, a look around, I didn't really see anything obvious, nothing, there weren't any scorch marks, nothing was obviously disconnected. Even this motor controller board here that was in the back of the unit, that seemed fine, it doesn't look like anything's blown up on it. I came down to the basement at, 2 a.m., as you do, and I decided to have another look at this board. Now, there is one thing missing from this board right now, and that's this little 5-watt high-power resistor that normally sits about here. It's soldered into that little space there. And, this resistor looks just fine, but in fact, this was the problem. So, through some just sort of basic diagnostics, looking at it, nothing's, no burnt traces or anything, I had come to decide that when I looked at the input power, I have all these wires here. When I went to look and see the power coming into this, it did have 5 volts coming, or sorry, not 5 volts. It had 120 AC coming into it. When I tested the little speed potentiometer here, it also was working correctly. And in fact, this whole front panel worked just fine. And so I really was convinced that there was something wrong with this board. So when I started thinking about what could break on this, these MOSFETs here, they could break, some of these, large resistors here, but nothing looked popped. It didn't look broken. So I had read that sometimes these little resistors here, these are sort of very low ohm but very high wattage resistors that help set the output horsepower of this board, they can sometimes go bad. It is a 0.02 ohm resistor, and it was reading overload on my multimeter. So infinite resistance, not 0.02 ohms. So this was definitely the problem. So I decided to take a couple of really crappy low wattage resistors here and just stick them in. These are 1 ohm resistors paralleled together to be half an ohm. Yes, I was an order of magnitude off in my testing, but I figured, as a little test, at least if I plug this board in and test it out, some noise might emanate out of the motor, the gearing assembly. And in fact, when I did, that's exactly what happened. It's moving. You can hear it. It sounds like crap, but it's doing something. Previously, with this resistor in place, it just didn't do anything because it was open circuit. But with those 1 ohm resistors paralleled there, it was enough for me to tell that hopefully if I replace this big resistor here, that it should work. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to quickly solder on. I have a couple of replacement resistors here. I'm going to take this off, put the new resistors in place, and put this all back together and button it all up. And hopefully by the end of the video, we should, have a functional mill again. So just stick around, guys, and we'll see if this actually works. All right, so here we are with the board, and I currently have these little resistors here on the bottom. I just need to remove those. And then I have my new horsepower resistor here. So I'll just put that in. I may have a little bit of trouble getting it into those little holes there just because they have solder already in them, but we'll do the best we can. And then I have the little bit of mounting hardware here, and we'll just get it all put back onto its big old heat sink, and we should be able to test it out. So let's just get this put together quickly and so that we can get to testing. All right, so there we go. Took me a little bit of extra effort to get this on because the leads on the new resistor are larger than the leads on the old resistor, and they just didn't go through the holes. So I had to clean up those holes a little bit here and here, and then I just soldered it on top. Hopefully that'll be okay. So now that this is all put back together onto its heatsink, let's go and get it installed and then test it out. All right, guys, so this is the moment of truth. I have put it all back together. You can see I've got it all closed up in front and back on the motor controller. And I guess there's nothing left to do but test it. Got it put at the lowest RPM here. And let's just see if it works. Oh my God. Guys, look at that. My machine works again. Oh, I'm so happy. All right, guys. Well, that's all for today. I got this machine up and running. Now I'm going to finish working on this piece of aluminum here. I will see you guys later.